Well, Trickster here, and I have my solar set up, and this is for a seller on eBay who asked me to take a picture of my solar panels to help, or my solar setup just to help to solve the problem with this charge controller here that does not work. Never worked since I got it. I'm still using my old charge controller, which is a 12 volt solar spray. I have that reinstalled. I'm getting a new version, which is a 30 amp one, and that's my capacitor bank, and this is my batteries, which everything here is 12 volts. The capacitor bank is wired in series of 5, which comes out 12 volts, and those are wired in parallel to get extra wattage, which I get 6,000 farad. I'm not sure if that works that way or not. That's my power inverter that I use for my desktop and PlayStation and all other stuff that I have in my room. And as you can see, it's around 12 volts, and these are 2.7 each, but as you can tell, they run at 12 when they're hooked to batteries. They just help with the wattage, so I can hook up high-powered stuff without lagging as much. So this is the charge controller I got. I was going to replace that one with. Doesn't really work. I'm going to hook everything up. So right now I have a lot of sun. Yep, the cloud just passed over it, so we should still have a lot of sun. I have taken the liberty of hooking my capacitor bank to the load side of the battery side of the charge controller, and the load side is hooked up to the inverter. And the reason I did this is because, see, that's this solar panel. There's only one terminal hooked up right now because I want to use up all the power inside of the capacitor bank so that I can use the charge controller to recharge it, or at least attempt to recharge it. So that's what I have set up here. The reason why I chose the capacitors once again is it charges really quick and it disperses power really quick, and all at 3,000 watts. So it can be at 2.7 volts, it'll still be 3,000 watts, and touch the terminals, they really do a fireworks show. So anyway, I'm going to try this power drill, and I'm going to use this power drill to drain. As you can tell, right now it's really low, but that's pretty good. It wouldn't take too long to drain the rest of this energy out of it. So right now it's at the bottom, it's yellow. There's no normal light on or anything because there's no solar panels connected yet. I only have the positive. The negative is disconnected right now. So I'm just going to run this. The inverter really isn't that great. It's actually not that good. So when I really push this power drill to the fastest speed, it will cut out. And it'll do it a lot more frequently the more power that's used up. So just keep doing this constantly for a couple more minutes and it should be good. Right now it's still low. It hasn't changed much. This 12 volt sine wave inverter, it looks really well made. I've actually opened it up and modified it a bit, but it looks really well made, but it's sucky. It doesn't handle a lot, and it takes a lot of power too, especially on standby. So far I've been running it for about 5 minutes. Yep. So far about 5 minutes, and as you can tell, it's not working because there's barely any power to run it, which means they're probably around 11.80, still 3,000 watts, but because the wattage is so high, you can still run around 11.80 volts. I mean, if I had it hooked up to the batteries, on the other hand, or like a single battery, it wouldn't be, you know. Okay, now we have a red light. It was a yellow flashing light and now it's a red light. So now we can hook up the charge controller to the solar panels, and hopefully it charges, which I doubt since I already tried this already. There we go. Normal charge right there. That means everything's hooked up. I already checked all the panels, everything's alright. Pretty sure we have a lot of sunlight outside. Go check that. Yep. That cloud is completely passed. So we got enough sunlight. Yep. Now, as this point, the capacitor bank, unlike the batteries, should be about charged up to about 25% right now, because it takes almost equal time to charge as it does to run it out at a full charge, even though it wasn't a full charge, which I'm glad it wasn't. And it's not charging yet. Seller was talking about a refund. I guess he needs some sort of evidence that it's not working, so I don't have to send it back. But if he still wants me to send it back, I could do that. I just don't have the funds to send it back. So, I mean, if you have some way I can ship it back, that'd be great. So for a recap, the capacitors were at about 12.1 volts, and I ran it down to about 11.80 or 11.70, and I tried to recharge it and failed because the charger controller does not work. So we have it. Green, regular connection, but red light. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up my previous charge controller, and yeah, and we'll see how it charges. I'm pretty sure it's going to charge up. So when I plug in that capacitor bank, all the batteries are going to drop down 11 and 11.80 or something like that. So far I have had it plugged in for about 2 minutes, and it's now up to 12.24, and it's been charging at a rate about 1 volt per every 20 seconds. So there you go, it's back. It's from 4 to 5, it's going to go to 6, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get about 7 before I zoom out. Yep, 7. So I have everything hooked back up. The wires get a little hot when I connect everything, but as soon as voltage evens out, the wires will stop heating. So here's the old charge controller, and I just want everyone for Affinity Ink Bunny to see my setup, if anyone's wondering what I meant by solar.